So yeah, we're making a tier list, and these are the tiers we have. OP for RTA, 1 buff away from being good for RTA, good in Siege, good in PvE, or in need of a buff, aka it's not good anywhere right now and it would need a buff. To look at those, I think good for Siege or good for PvE is relatively easy to find by just checking out their skills and then seeing what they're doing. It might be like we have already seen like that the unit that you get for free, this one, it's not really that great for PvE. So I might still say like, okay, in need of a buff, but he's kind of good for like early game PvE. That's about it. Like early game PvE, I think he's very good, but anything slightly bit later game, he's apparently not that great. But we're going to look at every individual unit, and we're going to actually look at replay matches of those units, trying to find a bunch of people that have already been using them, including the LD5s. And then from there, we're actually going to fill this whole tier list. What did you roll? What do we have for that unit? Well, skill 1, not that interesting. Skill 2 is a pretty strong skill. However, this is full on a PvE unit. So it's good for PvE. His big issue is that his AI tends to want to do him skill 3, which does also mean that he will use his S3 in waves, which is not that great because you kind of want to do skill 2 on waves. I also noticed that the multiplier on this skill is not that high. You do increase cooltime, but PvE, a lot of the things that you kind of want to do is just that one shot, right? So there is like this whole second part where it's immune to stunts, you get the lower cooldown. It's not that great. So for that reason, I would say he's kind of in need of a buff. Is he bad per se? No, but we have better units in game. Like if you want to do a lot of damage, Argon is better, Crow is better, Brandia is better. There's just Shaman is better, Lin is better. There's just a lot of better damage dealers out there. You could arguably say like, oh, good for PvE, but no, he's not. He's actually in need of a buff. That he's not that great. So fire version, I would say if you want to use that, is this something that you would use in PvE or in RTA? So I'm actually going to check if some people in RTA use this unit or not. Because for most of the units, I actually do want to get, just to see if anyone is using it. And just from there, see if we can get some good clips from any of those units. I'm not sure. He's good for beginners. True-ish, but I feel like within a month, you're probably going to have better units than the Water Geralt already. He's very good for very, very beginner people. Okay, so is this unit actually going to clean up Battlefield here? Well, he had to ban the Juno, though. Does do a decent amount of damage. Definitely a unit I would put Despair as well. But he's just having issues with the Juno. That's just the biggest thing. So yeah, with this we can really see it's not really that much of a... Okay, we see a little bit more usage over here. It's not really that much of a RTA unit. I would say it's kind of a Rika, but the big difference between him and a Rika is that this thing is not that much defensive stats. And while not having that much defensive stats, it becomes a little bit harder to use his skills properly. Because I feel like he's not really a damage dealer, he's more of a unit that would like to do a lot of just debuffs. But in this case, the showcase of him, once again, doesn't really look too interesting. He just tends to die. Doesn't seem that strong, Let's see if we can have one more match where he kind of redeems itself. It's also kind of where he wants to have the setup of S2 into S3, where I would say that if he gets like attack bar increase on the S2 or something, he would suddenly become very good. Okay, we do have some strips. Goes for the S3. Bunch of debuffs have struggled landing on water, which is kind of the thing. It's too bad that he is actually a fire element, because Rika is also fire element. If you were to put his kit on any other element, he might actually be interesting. But yeah, as I said, his base attack is just that horribly... Or his base attack is super high, but his base defensive stats are just really bad. That makes him where he cannot really pack a punch on his own. He does have a lot of multi-hitters though, but... To give him a verdict of where I would place him, I would say he's probably one buff away from being good in RTA to just saying like he needs a proper buff. I would say that he's nice. He might be good in PvE. Yeah, I think I will give him that. He would be good in PvE, but then we're just talking about TOA. If you don't happen to have a Rika. It's like a Rika, but then AoE armor break. So it's definitely not a bad AoE unit for PvE. So I would say good for PvE, but... He might be like, if you give him a little bit of tuning on his doing his S2 or his S3, anything else, he might actually be good for RTA as well, or Siege or anything. I would say one of the weirder ones, it's an HP type with pretty high HP that he has, but he doesn't have any HP scaling. He does have that remove harmful effect, he does have a bomb on this one, but he is bombing and therefore he's wind, so he has a lot of trouble landing his bombs on fire, which doesn't really help too much. And he's gonna grant himself shield, immunity, or counter attack. Yeah, is that great? Well, it's stacking Shizuka. That's a thing for sure. Like, you can stack Shizuka by a lot of stuff. That's kind of an option you could go for, but is it really that great? But let's see if it's actually properly used to an extent where I would say, like, okay, it is actually nice. It is placed next to a Laura though, so, okay, we have bombs and it didn't land a single bomb. Also, yeah, his rates to actually land those bombs are very low. So, yeah, does that make that anything great? I don't think so. If he managed to win this, I would claim a Laura victory more than a Geralt victory, that's for sure. Yeah, can you actually win this? If you win this, this is so much a Laura victory still, though. Also, your cooldowns are pretty long and you're just standing there. Yeah, that thing does... If he had any proper unit instead of this thing over here, it would have probably won. Like, that's kind of... Oh, you got immunity. Nice. What for? Literally, if you had any unit but the Geralt in there, you had a decent chance at winning. That's kind of how that one looked like. I would say this one in strong need of a buff. This one is really bad. Like, really, really bad. Light one is one of those where I would say that he has a lot of chances of being good, but is he already good at current state? That is kind of the question, because the light one, what skills does he have? S1, same. S2 is a roll skill, but S3 is adrenaline rush. And for every hit he does, he gets adrenaline. But if he AoE multi-hits, then he also gets just a full stack of adrenaline. When he has adrenaline over 3 stacks, he can use roll again without cooldown using. That also means that if you use roll 2 more times, you actually get it off cooldown again. And even if you drop your adrenaline below the threshold, you can still use roll again. And then full stack your... So pretty much this unit, if he's not getting hit, he can permanently spam his roll skill. Which is kind of interesting. You just need an AoE stripper for it, but... And it is AoE armor breaking all the time, but is it strong enough to where we would say, like, hey, this is actually pretty OP? Or is this just a thing, like, it's niche? Definitely do see it in, like, a little bit higher ranks being used, but let's see if we can get some decent matching. It's definitely something where you would have to have multiple AoE armor breakers for this to make it work. So we have 2 AoE armor breaks. Yeah, next to this kind of team, it's definitely very strong. So let's see how this works out. Okay, we have that skill, we have Laura moving next, and then we have that unit. Okay, goes for stun. We go for roll, and we stack up max attack bar on all of those. However, we did not stun the Ganymede. We do get a kill over here. But is this also something that I would say, like, if you would have placed a Balinus over there, or if you would have placed, like, pretty much any other unit there, would it have been able to do similar things? Yeah, I would say so. Like, it looks really cool. It definitely did work out. It did give the armor break, and you can keep stacking armor break again and again and again. But is it really on the point where you would say, like, there's no other unit that could do something like this while spamming the skill all the time? Probably not. But it does feel something like multiple units could have done. That feels kind of into full hit on the vert. Yeah, it definitely did feel like a win of the draft rather than, like, okay, we're going for a roll. It does do a good amount of damage. Like, it's multi-hitting AoE if you have good artifacts, because I think none of these guys have, like, insane artifacts. If you were to have insane artifacts, it would be really nice. But it's also the thing, like, do people know how to counter it? Because if you know that you have to keep the stacks low, and therefore it cannot do the roll all the time, it is pretty easy to go for. But on that fire proc, hey, that was actually a pretty good showcase, not gonna lie. I'm not sure if I would put it on Vio. I think I personally would put it on Despair, because if the things go right, you're Despair stunning every turn. I think it just kind of needs, like, how OP would he be if he gets, like, an absorb of attack bar? Like, if he would to absorb attack bar on that S2, he would be, like, fucking OP, I would say. Missed that strip, that's exactly what he needed. But, wait. You could have attempted to strip that, but okay, that's fine. This one is on despair. Yep, I definitely recommend that. Yeah, if you were like... Oh, no, wait, this is on fire. Wait, who stunned that thing? Probably the... wait, the Smicer did. But yeah, if you, I would definitely say he would need it on like a despair set. So this unit is not bad. I think it's just one buff away from being really good. In current state, he's just niche, and I feel like other units could have been doing like similar things. There's not such a unit that has that many chances of doing armor breaks, but he needs a lot of turns to get his stuff like kind of rolling and doing good and stuff. Whereas other units, they push back and whatnot, so... Yeah, it is nice and all, but I would definitely put it on despair, but I would also definitely say that he's good at the moment, but not good enough to the point where I would say he's gonna be like super crazy. Let's see if we can get another match in from this guy. Yeah, this guy has like the few other LBs to make it work. Let's see, Abelio might be annoying for this thing though. Okay, we get our strips in. It's also an armor break setup that you kind of want to have a other unit move afterwards. So yeah, if you dispaired like 1 or 2 units here, then it would have been pretty nice. In this case, like that's the thing, like if you were to place a CP over here or a Charlotte over here, or like a lot of these other units over there, they would have done more than just AoE armor break and refresh their skills, right? So I would say that this unit has a lot of potential, but I also definitely would say that I classify him as 1 buff away from actually being good. For Siege, he's even worse, I would say. So the Alchemy passive, so this is also the Bomber. I don't like the Bombers of these family because he's HP type Bomber with damage scaling of attack. It's not really a thing, right? It's not really that you would say like that doesn't make all too much sense. Plus his alchemy skill, from what I've heard, is that you can make him a 100% activation rate on his bombs without a rest check if you have 4 buffs. But then again, getting 4 buffs, you kind of have to put a pure vanilla cookie next to it. When having a shield set, you get 4 buffs. Then I would only say it's nice for Siege, or not for Siege, for Arena Offense. But he does damage on his skills that you cannot properly bomb a Camilla. Because even if you go 15 crit rate, you will probably activate one of the 2 skills as critter, and therefore you remove your bombs altogether again. Which kind of makes it bad. So yeah, for that sense, I'm not really sure. Let's see if anyone used it in RTA. Don't really think so. But yeah, someone just mentioned, like, are all of these units bad? I think there's a few that are better. It's definitely better than previous collabs we had, because previous collabs we had, they were all like terrible. In this case, I think there are a lot of them are kind of like 1 or 2 buffs away from being good. But this one I would definitely say is probably one of those that I don't really see the use case of. Okay, are you gonna snipe this? No, he's gonna ignore it. Okay. So let's see what he does. So this is actually a free match for a Bomber. If he were to place any good Bomber here, okay, you actually have 3 buffs. That's pretty nice. Okay, missed it on 1. Not too bad yet. Yeah, in that use case, it was good. But could you have put a Sion in there or a John and would have done the same thing? Yes, probably even better. So, seems okay, seems okay. I think it was more the setup and the right draft. We see a few shiny units over there. But let's see. I think it did show that he was winning this match as well. I guess a Shizuka win more than... Okay, a Lima probably win more than anything. In this setup, he actually with a Lima next to it, it would make a lot more sense. And he actually had 4 buffs and he didn't land anything. I would say together with a Lima and a Shizuka, it might actually be good. To a certain extent. But then we're talking like pretty specific premium units to get him to a shit ton of buffs. And then he would do okay. Would I really say that that's great? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I feel like other Bombers could have done the same thing. I'm not really feeling his passive is adding too much in the sense right now where I would say like, yo, this becomes pretty OP or anything. Let's see for this match. In this match, I think he just gets outspat and then destroyed. Yep, we have one destroyed unit over. Why would you not armor break? Okay. Bombs. Not too bad. Bombs and stuns. I think in that case you could have better used S3 than S2, even though that the S3 is more damage. Well, there's already bombs on it, so yeah, you have that proc though. Because of that proc potential, I'd rather had immunity on my team than... Yeah, I think he should have went for an S3 because then you prevented that proc. But it's not too bad as a unit. It's not too bad, but it needs some premium stuff next to it to make it work. And he has quite that premium stuff. I think in most other cases, you kind of have to go for the pure vanilla cookie next to it. And then it could maybe work, but let's see how this one does. I think in this case, it's a lot more difficult. It's not going to take a turn and you're just going to die. Yeah, I think that the passive should do a little bit more. So I would say all of these matches I've seen so far here, any other bomber would have done the same, probably even better. So for that reason, I'm actually going to place him in need of a buff, because I feel like that this is actually one of the weaker ones out there. It's just a bomber, but a weaker bomber than most of the other ones. The passive is kind of weird. Like, the passive could definitely do something more, in my opinion. Bomb plus stun is nice, though. It is not bad, but in the end, I would say that the John, with a cooldown increase and then a bomb of 1 turn, is probably still a lot stronger. And that's just a fire net 5 unit that we also already barely use, right? This is one of those units that a lot of people said, like, yo, this one is one of the better ones. However, there's one big issue with this, and you can't see it from here, but this thing has a resistance awakening. So we can see that there's a resistance awakening. On this unit, resistance awakening does not make any freaking sense. Funny fact is that Sonya back in the days had a resistance awakening as well. The moment that they made that a speed awakening, Sonya became zooming and one of the better units in the game. Is this one of those things that if they give it a speed awakening, this would become a 121? Which would be very strong, because we have that S2 that can ignore defense if your speed is greater than the enemy. Don't add me on these numbers, but from what I've heard is you need 170%, 170 speed more than the enemy to make this a full 80%. That is a lot more speed. That is definitely, we're looking at a unit that has to be like super crazy fast. That's not something like a swift unit into a fire unit. You're gonna get this. No, you need a lot more than that. So definitely I would say that 221 on this for the 170 that you need in this one to go to full 80 is a lot. However, you also have that you always hit as a critical hit if the enemy is slower than you. Plus you can't get crit by them if they're slower than you, which is pretty nice. I kind of like the passive. The passive is definitely nice because then you can build it on crit damage 4. However, you need a lot of speed to make this threshold work. You're not going to get that speed with a Res Awakening. You're not going to... Like, Res Awakening kind of feels like, oh, I could maybe 100 Res it and then Vampire it. But it doesn't make too much sense with the speed. And that's the same thing I said on release of Sonya. And that's the same thing I'm going to say on this one. The moment that they add more speed to it, the Speed Awakening on that unit, this one could be very good. But let's actually see how people are using it. We don't see it too much in higher ranks. I see a few Punisher ranks using it together next to a Asher, Raccoony, and Miles. I definitely do like those. That's exactly the combination where I would say that it makes a lot of sense and could work pretty well. So let's see, does he take first turn? He takes first turn. Okay, let's see how much damage we can do. First hit on the Xenozek, double hit on the Xenozek. Are we gonna go for a full killer? Okay, went for an S2, went on the proc, and okay, he actually put Vio to it. Personally, I would have put Vio on that unit because you need that much damage to actually get your passive working. You do have multi-hit on the S1, so I would say that the S1 of this unit might be stronger than the S1 of a Sonya. But that's kind of what I feel like, but that showcase was actually pretty legit. Let's see if he has more matches in. Okay, that was the match we just had. Lucky match, 80% doesn't work. Yeah, let's see, let's see. So yeah, you kind of need 2 boosters. He's actually pretty fast on this unit. Yeah, that's the thing where if you don't get an armor break in front of it, it's not going to be enough damage. Like if another unit is just on Vio as well or Will, you need that big speed gap. And without that big speed gap, she is not going to be good. The moment you manage to hit the big speed gap, that is where she's gonna do a shit ton of damage. But you're gonna have to make it work for a speed lead, or like speed lead, speed buff. You always kind of need an Escher next to it, or a Raccoon next to it, or anything next to it that makes it where it is good enough. Plus, you can already look at the counterpart, Miles, which is the same element, which makes it a little bit worse. I would say the S1 on this unit is pretty good. It's not just all the S2, whereas for Sonya, it's pretty much all the S2. But the S2 is not enough. It is not enough. So yeah, in this case, he might be able to still win it. Can we actually still win it? Nope, rips. So yeah, for this unit, I would say it has a lot of potential. I think that you actually need like super crazy next level runes to it. Might you give it like a chance to work? Oh, let's look at Pure Vanilla Cookie. Definitely would be a nice pair as well. Let's see how that one works. Pure Vanilla Cookie is gone, but we have the Ashes still. Let's see how much damage we do on this. Charge attack, 24k. It's not a bad hit, but if you compare that to Sonya, who's hitting, if she made the threshold like upwards of 40, 50k on speed buff, not really good enough. Not good enough. So I would say one buff away from being good. And that's also where we're gonna place her. I was thinking about building it. I'm not too sure how this passive works exactly. I think it could be very nice for one specific thing, which could be the Wind Rift. Because then you're fighting a wind unit, you're gonna stack a lot of crit rate, crit damage, but just adding a lot of speed. Maybe you could use it in Siege here and there, that could be an option as well. But enemy max HP is definitely one that I would say enemy max HP makes it that you want to kind of put it towards a boss that has a lot of HP. However, in PvE, having a lot of speed most of the time doesn't make too much sense. But I would say specifically for the Wind Rift, it might make sense that it's pretty decent. However, I never tried that. I might give that a chance at some point, but I don't really think it's like super crazy or anything. But Wind Rift might be the only place. However, do you want a unit that's specifically only good in Wind Rift? Not really, right? Not really. So you should try to wear 220 in speed scaling, but doesn't get... But doesn't crit 100% from 0 crit. Really? Actually, I would probably put crit rate to her and then stack her from crit damage. But yeah, I think that they're 4% up a max speed scaling. Yeah, I think that she's kind of a buff away from being good for PvE, I guess. Let's see if anyone actually used her in RTA. Don't think so. Wouldn't really recommend it. I don't think she's good enough for it like altogether. It's also net 4, so it's a little bit worse in the first place. Yeah, I would say Swift and full crit, and then you add in the crit damage from the stats of the passive. Okay, how much damage are we doing? It doesn't have too bad of damage. It's just kind of weird that it's like enemy HP scaling. Like if the scaling was something else than enemy max HP, then I would have said that it's okay-ish, but enemy max HP pretty much says like, okay, I'm PvE. But she doesn't really seem to be, like speed units don't really fit PvE in the most cases, so I'm not too sure what her idea is behind that, but definitely not an RTA unit, that's for sure. But where would I place it? You could say good for PvE, but I think in need of a buff. I would say one buff away from being good in PvE. That's kind of the thing that I would say one buff away from being good in PvE is probably the best tier, but I would say in need of a buff. I don't really feel like sheer, like scaling issue. That's the main thing. Like the kid is not that bad, but kind of a scaling issue. So this one, a little bit higher on HP. Okay, this was the one that has, yeah, teleport slash. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's just decreasing the speed there, but yeah, a little bit. Do we have other units that decrease speed? No, not that much. But still, I would rather use other units instead of this for it. So, but let's see if anyone else disagree with me and shows me a good match in RTA. Well, let's see on this one. Swift Charlotte. Okay. Okay. We're gonna see the full potential of this skill. Let's see. It's also pretty much just the start of a Maximilian skill. It did push up the attack bar by quite a lot, but the S2 is just too weak to make it work afterwards. I think like it doesn't really do too much. Like you could have put any other unit at that position and it would probably have done more or the same. Let's say most likely the same. No, wait, more. So yeah, I would definitely place her at in need of a buff. She's not really that I would say like classified as anything interesting. That's wouldn't really recommend to use her. But now we're gonna go into one that I would say is most likely the one of best. But is she actually the best? Light Siri. Not used in too many high rank matches, but let's first look at what she has. Light Siri has the skills of the S1 and S2, pretty much the same as the other ones. But the S3 is where it becomes interesting. Every turn that you take, you get 20 speed up. That's definitely something very interesting. So you could end up with plus 200 speed. However, this takes forever to stack. Like in a proper match, this takes a lot of time to stack. Is it good though? And you have that additional extra hit, which is pretty nice. But let's look at it, how that looks like in battle. Because I think that she is probably the best one of all of the units. However, she has that issue that it's not that easy to make her stack. Because people are just gonna focus her down. And when she's dead, like, yeah, you can't stack. If you revive her, stacks are reset. So let's actually see. I think she's very good in bruiser fights. You don't want to put her in fast fights where she's just gonna get one turn and match is over. Those are absolutely the worst fights that she's in. But the best fight she could be in is where there's probably something protecting her. Could be either provokes, could maybe even be a Ophelia threat state. Could be a lot of things that were actually good for protecting her. And give her a chance to get some turns in. And with that she can actually get her stacks in. If that doesn't happen and they just start straight up focusing her, in this case they're focusing the cigar for whatever reason, not too sure about that, she becomes very weak, I guess, because she's just easy to focus down. I would also say that she's probably the best on a set of speed, crit rate, HP, and that you get most of your damage from the scaling of speed and the scaling of crit rate and crit damage. You don't want to go too much on attack scaling. You definitely want to go on violent. And if the match goes on long enough, such as this one, she tends to get very strong at some point. So this S2 against a low speed unit, yep, that's exactly how you want to use it. And that was just also misplayed by the enemy of not actually focusing on her. Would it maybe be a unit where would this be your unit that you put on Vampire and a like, because of that she has her own survivability? I don't really think so. I think you kind of have to put like a whole team around her to protect her ass with like Ragdolls. Raccoony is definitely a good one. Cigar Showcase, maybe a little bit. She was good damage in the end. Like, but would you say, for example, who else is scaling on damage at some point? A Squeaky would have been, has Squeaky been able to clean up like that? Maybe. So that's kind of the thing that you can compare it to. Like, would that have been good enough to clean it up at some point? Maybe so. So yeah, I would definitely say that she's good. She's just very hard to get stacking. Ooh, she's gonna die right now. Okay, goes for that one. Okay, so we have a chance of seeing her as a showcase, and she's nearly dead. Not too much damage on that Feng Yang, and she's probably gonna die over here. Yep. So I would say that maybe a bone-in lifesteal from her passive could be, or just something that makes her stacking easier. Because currently I think she's probably too strong if she's max stacked, but it takes too long to get her max stacked. Because if you use her in a team like this, she's probably going to die in like one hit. And she's never gonna take a turn. She needs those a lot of turns to actually work. She needs like a Raccoony next to it, Hey Gangs next to it. Anything to make the fight last pretty long where she can get stacks in. Or she would have to get stacks from not only her own turn. Because currently she only gets stacks from only her own turn. If she were to get stacks from other things as well, let's maybe add in this guy and see like more matches of this guy. It is super hard counted by Leo, that's definitely true. I think that this match is somewhat difficult to win, but let's see how he makes it work. Kills that off, okay. Well, this fight, he doesn't really have the protection, but I do see options where she can take quite some turns. Not too bad. Additional damage artifacts, most likely on a lot of them on speed. She does have the multi-hit, so that definitely does help. Well, not a bad showcase, actually. Okay, if she procs a lot, that definitely does help a lot as well. But yeah, the stacking is just kind of hard. But if she hits on an armor break and she procs every single turn that's out there, she becomes good. Come to us, imagine that you brought out a unit that's good if she procced every single fucking turn in game. Oh man. I think if you give her one buff, she might become Miles, but then 10 times better. Because she's kind of a Miles, right? But then way better the moment that she's max stacked. If she's not in the battle, I don't care. Okay, he probably removed her from the battle because he lost against it in this one. Yeah, if you pair it with Vanessa, also maybe the passive shouldn't reset and therefore the Vanessa pair might become even stronger. Wait, is he actually winning this? How the hell do you win this? Oh wait, we got the Invis. We got the Dark Cookie with the AoE Invis being good. Yeah, this is not a Siri showcase. This is a Dark Cookie showcase. I don't think you have to kill the Siri, sir. I think you just have to kill that Dark Cookie and you're good. But until you go for that, you're dead. Yeah, this is if he's winning this, which I think he was by looking at how the match looked at the end. You're not gonna deal damage on that, then you're gonna get frozen. And then we have AoE Death Break and AoE Invis. Yeah, you're just losing to a cookie. Well, also this cookie took 6 buffs to get good, so... That is a victory. Let's see if it's a victory for Siri or a victory for anything. Armor break of Vanessa, that always helps out. Not bad damage on an armor break. Like first hit without any stacking, it's not bad damage on an armor break. So yeah, I definitely do think that the pairing with Vanessa is pretty strong. But I would probably say even like go Vanessa, Raccoony, Siri, and then a Miles or so. Like if you have a combination of that, it's super deadly. I would definitely pair this unit all the time with Raccoony Miles. Vanessa seems not too bad as well. But then the verdict, where do we actually place her? I would say that she feels good for RTA, but I also feel like she kind of needs one buff to be good. But she is definitely better than her sister. That's definitely a thing, but I feel like in high-end RTA, she is too easy to deal with. But yeah, what do we say about Light Siri? I feel like she's good for RTA, but I also feel like she needs a buff to be good in RTA. I think if I would pull her, I would probably not use her in the current state in RTA that much. You kind of have to build a whole team around her to make her kind of good. Yeah, more situational, but I would say one buff away from being good in RTA. Let's look at Dark Siri. Is anyone actually using that shit? Because I think her damage output is not high enough to make sense in RTA, where a lot of 5 stars are spammed and only very few 4 stars are good enough. I didn't pull this one yet. 4-star RTA, yes. That's actually a very good point what Playtime says over there. 4-star RTA, a lot of units tend to get good that are normally not used. We see a lot of them out there. Like we even see like Gina suddenly popping up, becoming used a lot. We see Verisa, where's she at? Haven't seen this one, the Dark Chun-Li, which is also this one, Verisa. She pops up when there is 4-star RTA. I feel like her for 4-star RTA would become making sense as well. But you have this 28 lead on guild battle. That's where she's good. And does that mean like, oh, she's gonna deal a shit ton of damage and insta-kill your whole team? No, absolutely not. I think she's mainly gonna be good on defense. I don't think she's necessarily very good in offense. Offense, I would say in lower ranks, maybe you can get away with like an AoE kind of CC cleave like you would do in RTA. But in high ranks of Siege, you're not gonna use that. You're just simply not gonna use like triple robos and then just cleave your, like CC cleave your way through any of those hits. You're not gonna put her with an Asher and then some AoE pushbacker in a Siege offense. She's just not good for that. In defense, however, you can get away with that. So I would definitely say for defense, she's very good. In offense, not that great. Yeah, you could go for a Dark Choco Knight, but then you still need to outspeed. So I don't know. You get random cards. For everyone is different. But I would definitely say she's good for siege defense, but let's see if anyone is using her in RTA. I don't think so. Wouldn't recommend it though, but we could be seeing some people using it. We do see a few people. I see a few higher stars up here. Might be a draft that I would say any AoE. Okay, let's see. We do outspeed. Moondust. Didn't strip everything. Kind of sucks. We have a backup of strip. Okay, that's more a Heigang showcase than anything. Okeano showcase. Yeah, I feel like there's other AoE strippers that would have done something similar or probably even way better. Like if this was a Cigar or a Changpong or anything like that. Well, Changpong or a Cigar doesn't really feel fair because it's just a single target unit. But yeah, no, I don't think that besides the strip, it's not gonna do enough. It's literally there for the speed lead, and then on defense, it's good. Otherwise, it's not that great. So I would classify her absolutely as good in Siege, but I would actually say with that only Siege defense. For RTA, don't use this. 4-star, or this is a 4-star, right? Yeah, pretty sure. Oh no, wait, it's not. Ah, this is actually one of the better ones. I think. I'm not sure. I haven't seen it being used in RTA Lab yet, but I think this is one of the better ones. So we have Silence S1, not that interesting. Oblivion S2, not that bad, becomes 100%. And then we have S3 on AoE hits for stunts and remove harmful effects. I think that this can be pretty solid, actually. So let's see how people use this in RTA. I would say that RTA is probably her best place where she can be used. Okay, we right away see a more amount of green stars, so that definitely does look like more people use it. I would say it's probably used with like Tomoe's and that kind of stuff. Like Tomoe and then spreading stuff and spreading the Oblivion. So I would definitely, if I were to use her, I would probably pair her up with Tomoe a lot. But let's see how this guy uses her. Okay. Monkey goes in, Monkey Showcase, Okeano Showcase, what are we looking at? We need a pushback, did get a pushback. AoE stunners. So therefore the AoE stun on the Jennifer doesn't make as much sense. But it kind of makes sense for not being able to remove your, or not cleanse. And we got a Camilla Showcase. Yeah, I think you're dead. I think you're very dead. Okay, let's remove the think part, you are very dead. It's not really the place I would use it. Let's say Amaxa uses it. Wouldn't really say. I think she's best paired with the Tomoe. Because Tomoe can spread her, well, pretty much everything. And most likely, next to an Oblivion unit, you kind of want to have a unit that spreads the Oblivion. Okay. Let's see. Good stunts. Remove harmful effect is good for the Heigang, actually, in this case. But I think you might have a lot of issues with the amount of damage output that might be on the enemy side. Oblivion on the Alexandra. Okay, nice comeback. You could land Silence on the S1. Not bad for a comeback, not bad for a comeback, but I think a lot of other units could have been like doing a similar job over there. Why is no one using this together with the Tomoe? Like, I feel like she's so good paired with the Tomoe. Anyone Tomoe. Okay, in this case, ooh, that might actually be a very nice counter. Wait, let's see. Oblivion. Okay. Shouldn't you have, if you Oblivion anyone, shouldn't you have Oblivion the Varamos rather than that? Because now this one can't cleanse, but Varamos can cleanse it slowly? That's not gonna help you, bro. Also, I'm not too sure if you were to... How does the interaction work between her and a Josephine? Because you stun the Josephine, but you also give the you can't cleanse to Josephine. How does that work? Interesting-ish, but not really good enough. I would give her a 1 buff away from being good. Next one, we have the only unit that I do actually have, which I think is probably one of the worst, but I'm not sure if people agree, which is this one. It does have the Oblivion as well, it does have the same silence, but this one is, it can spread things, 50% of the times at random. That is the worst combination of words that I've ever seen in my life. It's not even like 50% of the time it works all the time. No, 50% of the time it's random. Like, I don't like that combination of words, man. That's just no. That's not a combination that I like to see. But let's see if anyone actually uses that in. Okay, we're using it against a whole bunch of passive units over here. At least make our activation rate 100, because I think, like, even if it's every turn, I think it's still bad anyways if it's random. Because you could say, like, okay, I Oblivion, in this case, I want to Oblivion the Veramos first. But you drop it 3 times in a row on this one, yeah, that's gonna be bad. At least we put it next to a Tomoe in this case, okay, so we hit it, we don't spread. Fuck, bro, why? Well, this is more showcase for other units. Like in this case, you might as well just put a Herney in there, and Herney would have done better. You don't really want to do... Okay, that was kind of lucky for landing that much. Yeah, you put it towards the segment right now, but you wanted to put it towards the Wajet, because Wajet is boosting. Oh, it's kind of weird. Okay. Hit it twice, didn't do shit. It's... No, this unit is just bad. Let's give it one more try. We're at least seeing it against a bunch of passive units, but... No, it's just too often that... I would say the activation rate has to be 100. Like, would this thing be OP if the activation rate is 100? I don't even think so. Okay, Oblivion on the right too, in this lucky case. But Oblivion is cancelled, bro. Nice. Okay, let's see. I think this is more showcase for other units. She didn't really do jack shit. And with not really doing jack shit, I mean she could have literally been any unit and would have been the same. When chat can answer my question, is Dabra the reason that Tasha's able to attack twice in GB12? Nope. That's a Kona. Okay. Let's see what she's gonna do here. There's a lot of passive units in there. This is the weirdest, slowest Vanessa I've seen in my life. Okay. Okay, spread it towards the Oliver. That's the only unit that you can't put any Oblivion, or Oblivion doesn't work. You have 2 units with passives, and you put it towards, okay, you put the Oblivion there, but oh no, wait. This unit also doesn't give a shit about Oblivion. You care about Oblivion. Well, that was actually the silence. I'm not sure what it spread. Okay, that's... Wait, did it also get resisted? Wait. wait. You can spread it, but then you can also, of course, still get resisted. So you spread it to the right target, but you get resisted. This is the coin flippiest of coin flip units in the game. Holy fucking guacamole, man. I do not want to be playing this one unless my gamble luck is like on par. Holy shit. Yeah, it got resisted on the spread to Camilla. Fuck no. Absolutely hell no. Absolutely no. No, man. Yeah, no, she's really bad. Like, compared to all of these, I would classify her as worst. And that's a net 4, right? Yep. Okay, so we have to treat her as net 4. But... what do you have? Ah, yeah, you have that weird thing where you're an attacker type, but your S2 is a shield from max HP. I don't know. I don't know about that. Attacks all enemy to increase glancing and branding. Is that the only net 4 that has AoE branding? I don't know, but this S2 just doesn't make any sense. Like, would you even put this to PvE? Nah. Would you put this towards... Like, where would you put this to? I don't even know where you want to use this. Like, TOA doesn't make too much sense. Rift Rates? Rift Rates is AoE, that doesn't make too much sense as well. Like, you want to use this somewhere AoE. Otherwise, this AoE doesn't make... R5 is also not AoE. Like, her whole kit just doesn't make any sense. Let's see if anyone actually uses this in RTA, and if you do, probably stop doing it. Well, AoE branding, how bad is it? Oh, not that great, but... Yeah, I'm really not sure. It would be nice if they somewhat slightly explain where they want to put units to use it, but maybe they just want us to figure it out. If it wins, it's probably not because of the Jennifer. I'd use it for a lab. Yeah, that's an option, I guess. But having a unit specifically for lab, I'm not really sure if that's the case. I can recommend you to use strippers, but that could be me. Finding a shit ton of immunity with 0 strippers. Bruh! This guy's using it a lot. Oh, that was the guy with... Why the hell would you draft like this? Remove her for an AoE stripper, you be winning and you're zooming towards like C3 easily. Don't use that unit. But yeah, I think we can very easily classify that that's not great. That's not really gonna be used. We have a light one, however. Let's see. Actually, the light one that I pulled. I didn't pull the good one, I pulled the other light one. Well, we haven't classified it yet as bad, but let's see what this one actually has, because legit I already forgot, so it's probably not that interesting. At least we got the Oblivion, that's the S2 that makes a lot more sense. S3 is removes a harmful effect, or when the enemy removes a harmful effect, beneficial effect is removed as well. And afterwards you get 50% attack bar. It is interesting, a lot of people are saying like, oh, super hard counter to Juno, because Juno you cleanse and then you get the speed buff. Or you remove the speed buff and you gain attack bar. Yes. However, if you put Oblivion on Juno, Juno's not gonna do that, so your passive doesn't work. So it's either your passive works or your Oblivion works. Or you could Oblivion another unit, that's an option, but you have that. And keep in mind that this thing is not in a million years gonna 1v1 against the Juno. Juno's just gonna S1 3-4 times and this thing is dead. This thing will absolutely never win 1v1 against the Juno. But does it make it bad per se? I don't know. I think it kind of does. By looking at what rank she's used in, that's not really that interesting. But let's see. You kind of have to use against things that cleanse. The only cleanser we have over here is this thing. So I would probably use it against an AoE cleanser and have absolutely no clue what your idea is behind this whole team. Okay, this spares it, I guess. I have no clue what this thing is. Any ideas for her? I have her as well, and I have 0 ideas yet. Ooh, she's gonna get a attack bar. And then throws an S1. No, man, you can't sell me this as the good unit. No. No, like I would way rather use like a Hernie or something like that, which is also a barely used unit. That would make a lot more sense than her doing her kits. Like there's... No. No. Let's see if it's used into... Well, also this... Into Camilla Racconi. Could it be a thing? I don't know. Let's see if into Camilla Racconi, if that's a thing. I don't really think so. Okay. Okay. He's just standing there, chilling. Also, if you're not landing any buffs or debuffs, then she's not gonna cleanse anything ever. She's just standing there, man. She's a fucking potato. Oh, okay, okay. We got silences in. You remove the silence. She gains attack bar on that. Okay. Oblivion, Oblivion is gonna get removed at some point. She gets some turns in for pretty much no reason. This unit does nothing, man. Yeah, waste your Vio procs. Would at least put it on this pair if it gets many turns for no reason. You might as well use a Geo if you like a lot of turns. No, this thing does absolutely freaking nothing. This does less than nothing. Yep, get over here. We have... Why the magic barrier, bro? That magic barrier makes so absolutely... Give an attack buff to this. Like, at least give something useful. Like a shield? Why does shield by... Like, at least make it scaling on your attack. Because why the hell would you be max HP scaling when you're an attack type unit? That doesn't make any sense. Like, cleansing doesn't make too much sense, but this doesn't make any sense from A to Z. Like, wait, if we're talking cleanses on attack type, is a Nikki attack type? Nikki is attack type. But if you compare this S2 to this S2, that's like that's 16 leagues of difference. This is like freaking amateur league, and that thing is like playing the World Cup, more or less. Like, that's how big of a difference there is in that S2 that cleanses. Because we also remove one harmful effect. Like, what? Like, compare those S2 like straight up, or these S2s like straight up 1-to-1. It doesn't make any sense. Well, we have the skill 3. And skill 3 is the moment that we stun something. We stun something for one thing, decrease their attack speed. And then we decrease the cooltime of the same skill if you do not get attacked every time that an enemy takes a turn. So if none of them attack this unit, you can pretty much use that skill right up again. It's pretty strong. I've seen it used here and there. It looks pretty fun. The only issue is it just stuns, kind of waits to get resisted, and then doesn't do all too much. That's more or less the thing what it does. Okay, we pair it with a bunch of good net 5s, LD 5s. Let's see. Okay, this goes a little bit fast, but she didn't move any soon yet. Okay, we're gonna go for stuns. We got 1 stun. Yeah, I think this was not really showcasing. She's so good, best unit in game. Isn't that how most showcases go on like YouTube in general? Best unit in game, she did everything. She's just paired with like other good units, and everyone's like, yep, she's good, let's use her. Okay, let's see in this. This may be a little bit more of a fair showcase. If you're actually ever gonna take a turn, which I kind of doubt looking at this right now. Okay, that was an interesting stun. Okay, we're gonna get a shit ton of stuns over here. So this is going to be interesting. It's gonna take 6 years, but this is going to be interesting. Oh wait, she didn't... Is she not max skilled? She's not max skilled. Otherwise she would have had lower cooltimes already. Oh no, wait, she got a turn, but all of the other things didn't get a turn yet. But yeah, the big issue for her is, like, sure, she's turn denying, but she's doing 0 damage at the process of turn denying. So, and if you deny too many turns, like, you kind of have to give them a reason to proc out, or you have to give them a reason to take a turn while being stunned. So you kind of want to make the stuns 2 turns, otherwise you just have a chance of them procking out. And if they proc out, you lose, right? That doesn't make too much sense as well. At least she can put up a shield. I think she might still lose this. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like she literally just might still lose this. Like, if the Josephine gets 1 or 2 turns, the Cardinal's gonna deal less and less damage. Like, you're just denying turns, but you're not really dealing any damage. And you're not really setting up for damage, you're just stunning. And I know a good unit that stuns, it's called Okeanos, but Okeanos in the same process kills your whole fucking team, resets it, throws back debuffs, does like a shit ton of things, and this thing is just like, I'm stunning. Could be a value as well, but now you're dead. So yeah, you stunned the enemy, you denied like I don't know how many turns, but it's hard to make a team where denying the turns, just denying the turns while not doing anything else, is good enough to claim the unit actually good. So I think I wouldn't even place her in like needs 1 buff to be good in RTA. I think you need quite a bunch of buffs to be good in RTA. Plus, I think RTA is her only case where she's good. Plus, she's probably used in a... Yeah, okay, now let's put her next to 4 dark net 5s with a Han. Okay, let's see if that is the way how to use her. Okay. Okay, that's a dead destiny. I feel good odds that you're not even winning this. Okay, at least... Do you get the turn in? Yeah, okay. Gets AoE stun. Doesn't hit it as well. Not enough. You need even lower cooldown, man. You couldn't even like spam your skill. Like now you have your cooldown back. But this is going to be enough. Okay, you have the S3. AoE stuns again. Okay, we're kind of cooking. And we're dead. No, man. I think it has potential. It's better than most of the other units we've seen so far that are absolutely garbage. But I think I'll place her in here. But I would say she needs like 2 buffs to be good, not just 1. You're special. Your mom calls you special. And moms don't lie about these things. Okay, let's see. What can we do on this? We got dots. Harmful effect removers, but... is this actually doing anything except dying? Okay. I think I've seen enough. That unit doesn't do anything. Zoop. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. I have no clue why you would use that. So we have the stun and decrease defense, or yeah, defense break, okay. And then reset attack bar additionally leaves branding and increased chance of glancing it. Oh, that's very similar to the wind one of Jennifer, but this is a net 5, so then it also decreased the attack bar. Is that good enough though? I would say arena offense sounds pretty decent. But is that enough to be good for arena offense? Because there's a lot of, like, you have Zyros in arena offense, right? Which is a pretty good unit, but I could be seeing this unit being some AoE cleave-ish kind of unit. Let's see, it's gonna take first turn. And we're gonna be fighting something that's anti-pushback, so... Okay, armor breaker. How much damage are you gonna do? Remove the attack buff. Decent damage, and yeah, you have the glancing AoE and branding AoE. Is it good enough though? Stun on the S2. Yeah, I would say that... It's not bad for a cleave, but it's also feeling like not doing enough. Like, if you kind of compare units that do something similar like this, I'm thinking about like a Farad or something like that with a pushback, and then a freeze, or a Teo with a pushback and then a slow, or like those kind of things. I feel like that those units are all a lot better than what she's showing right here. I feel like she's not bad, as in like the other units are. There's a whole bunch of them that are a lot worse. But I also don't really feel like that is that great. Yeah, especially in this case, like you decrease attack bar when everything had no attack bar. Yeah, it's not really helping that much, but you put AoB branding, which isn't too bad. AoE glancing kind of helped that the pony couldn't change. That S2 that can stun is also not too bad, actually. But yeah, I feel like it's kind of missing something to be actually good. It would have to have something else. Like, personally, I wouldn't be using this unit. No. I don't think it's bad. It's just not good enough yet. Okay, it's used over here. Let's see how this is used. I think it's never gonna take a turn and the whole team is gonna die. Oh, wait. Wait. The secret was so hard counted by the Sonya. But then your whole team is still kind of dead, I guess. Or is it though? Scorched Earth. Yeah, no, that doesn't do it. I would say it's okay-ish, but not good enough. I think we would also have to put these in order at some point. We're gonna put these in order of like worst to best unit when we place all of them in, because I feel like that this one is pretty big. So I feel like we should make a tier of left to right of like, is in need of a buff, but it's kind of okay, but is in need of a buff and it's just absolutely garbage. So we're gonna put these in order as well. But let's move on to the next unit, which is the wind one, which is a net 4, I think. Okay, so we have, that's the continuous damage of 2 to 4 times, and then decrease the attack bar. I think it's just TOA. Yeah, I think that's, you can go left around it or right around it. This is just TOA, and I think it's actually a pretty good unit for TOA. Because the amount of hits it does, cooltime is not super long. S2 is also removing harmful, it's not too great for TOA, but... Yeah, I guess that this is just a free-to-play men's Rika. So I think we can just straight up classify that as good for PvE, mainly TOA. Like nothing else, just TOA. This is the one with speed lead, 21 speed lead, kind of weird. I did see that Kalian Bao was playing with this because Kalian Bao pulled this. Like, why wouldn't he? He probably spends too much anyways. If the enemy takes that, okay. Yeah, this one is also kind of weird. It's somewhat similar as the wind or the water one, I think. But I'm not too sure if this is actually good. But I would say it's more of an RTA unit. I mean, offense, maybe? Too bad about not pushing, stripping that one. Okay. Yeah, it spreads the dots a bit. But does it make it that good? I'm not sure. There's a decent amount of... Yeah, she's very team depending. I agree with that. So she is kind of okay-ish, but I feel like she's more one buff away from being good than other teams. However, going for a full Dodder team in this is pretty difficult. Like, I feel like she would be nice next to a Nora and like a Siege offense or something like that. Alright, Tomoe, Rika, that kind of stuff. Yeah, you would... It would be good, but then again, like, you just put a Verimols and a Juno in there and you're never gonna lose, right? In the end, that this team did kind of work out. I think you still managed... Yeah, you managed to win the moment you got CP skill up. I think it's not that bad. Let's see if someone else managed to get it in with like a full Dodder team or something like that. I would say that it's strong next to a Phalantis. That definitely makes sense. Okay, gets the Phalantis in. I haven't seen that one as well that much, okay. And we have it next to a Shizuka and he has no cleanse, so this should be a very good match for it. Too bad that your Phalantis was stunned over there. She works well with oracles. Yeah, oracles against, well, the oracles that still have the dots, I guess. Okay, then this should start dealing a lot of damage on all of the units, kind of. The damage spread is not that much. It's not like, a lot of the things took damage, but it's not like this thing started like half dying from just the debuffs there, right? They slowly got a lot of damage, but it's not like, oh, everything is super dead already. I would say one buff away from being good, but very situational. Whereas I think in high-end RTA, it's not really OP, because people just deal with it, but I can kind of see the use case of it. You know what passive she should have that would make her OP? If she's on the battlefield, continuous damage can never be cleansed. She becomes OP. Would that be too OP? I don't know. No, I think she's kind of rare enough that I wouldn't be against the buff like that on there. But I think one buff away from being OP. But then we're already at the final unit, which is the Darktris, which I actually noticed that Absa has. Well, yeah, that's also a thing. Like, if you have other units like Maximilian next to it, it's pretty much the same thing, but we do ignore defense on the third skill if there's enough debuffs. Or the more debuffs, the more ignore defense you do. So, I would say she's very nice as a finisher, but I think she therefore also fits more arena / siege cleave style than pure on RTA. Like, for RTA, I think it's very predictable and bannable. Does do a good amount of damage though, but I would say if I would use this with my Tiana Neftis in Siege offense, would be very strong. But in RTA, I'm not too sure if you really want to place it towards RTA. I would definitely use this a lot in Siege. And in Siege, like you could say like, oh, Neftis is super premium, like who's gonna have a Neftis? You could also just place it with a Rika and then that, or even a Gina, Tiana, and then that, or there's a lot of options that you could become good. It's just that the Neftis would do it better. I think that she's pretty nice, actually. Wouldn't say OP for RTA, but in this case, yeah, this is gonna wipe whole team. But I would also say in a situation where you get this kind of drafting, a lot of people would have nearly wiped whole team. But she's good. She's absolutely good. No strippers on enemy side. Do you do enough damage to kill it? Probably not. But in this case, you're not going to have that many debosses set up. And that's the big issue about RTA. You can simply just ban out the other units. And that way just make it a lot harder to... that's a Gianna right there. What? Freaking full despair stun. Yeah, you're not gonna win it that way, no. Ooh, next to a Kiki. Nice. Should be strong. Moves in front, pushes back. Not enough. No, Juno takes turn. Okay. But yeah, this is just 2 debuffs. If there's just 2 debuffs, that's still pretty decent damage though, but I would say better for Siege or Arena offense. Siege or Arena offense, it feels really strong. RTA, it's kind of predictable, I would say. So therefore, we can also place this one at, I would say, 1 buff away from being good, but I'm actually going to place her in good for Siege. Or Arena. So as I said, I'm going to place them from left to right of who's the strongest to the weakest. I would say for those 1 buff away from being good, I would say you are on the first place. I would say that you might be on the second place. And then for these ones, I feel like you have more... No, wait, you have actually quite some potential. I feel like that these are all pretty kind of... Like these 2 are kind of a similar par. If those 2 get a buff, I feel like that those 2 would get very OP. Those 2 could actually get pretty OP with a buff as well. I think these are kind of similar. Those are kind of similar. I would say that who's the best of these with a buff? I feel like you're kind of okay-ish. I feel like you are absolutely the worst. Wait, the fire one. What did the fire one do? Oh, that's the pushback thing. It's not that bad. It's not as bad. I think you are pretty terrible. You were kind of terrible. These 2 are... I think you are pretty terrible as well. And I would say that's probably like this. I think this is kind of fair. Can we move the Triss to OP? No. Which one? This? I think she is... I think in high-end RTA, she's too hard to use right now. I think you could make it work, but I don't think she's going to be like a high win rate unit at all. Because it's just too hard to get her stacks in. People would just snipe her down too easily. Like, if she's easier to get her stacks in, then it would be better. So yeah, I think this is it for what I think about the units. This is by all means not bad. Like, if I were to make a similar thing for the Street Fighter collab, I think the only one good one on release was More. And if we look at the Cookie collab, I think the only good one on release was Manon. All of the others were bad. Like Giselle was bad. Adriana was like the pure vanilla cookie water was bad. Like all of them were bad. Currently, a lot of them are used. I think all 3 pure vanilla cookies are used at the moment. Manon is kind of nerfed already, but this definitely does have a lot more better units than what we had in those collabs. So I would say that these have some good options with just a few tweaks, even if it's just like multipliers or anything like that. These definitely have options to become very good. But yeah, how long does it take them to get buffs? Could be 1 balance patch, could be 2 balance patch, and every balance patch we're talking about is about 2 months. So could be 2 months, could be 4 months, could be something. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab, which has the dungeon guide archive and the video guide archive, which contains all of the guides that you need. Hope to see you there.